I was just pretending to be on the phone. I really wasn't. That's called acting. Now, before we go on today's episode, I just want to talk about the theme this year. As we know, it's the 80s, and with the 80s, there were many classic horror movies that came out. You had your Nightmare on Elm Street, you had your Halloween, you had your Friday the 13th, you had your Ghostbusters. There's long list. And I will be reviewing some of those, but I felt like I should kind of offshoot to some lesser known horror movies from this decade because there were so many to see. I mean, hell, I've watched a lot of horror movies in my time, and I can't say I've seen all the 80 horror movies made during that decade. That'd just be an impossible task. With one other thing as well, I mean, some of you notice I'm not really using many movie clips in this, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One, I've been really busy this year. Moved place, across the other side of the country, got a new job. So yeah, I've just been really busy. So that means I haven't really had time to go through all the movies and, you know, copy the clips and put them in and line them up and everything like that. Another reason is I've been using some more pictures rather than video just because, while video might show a bit more of the movie, I feel like you do get a good understanding of what the movie looks like, coupled with me talking about it, kind of like what the movie's about. And lastly is, because I've been venturing into posting my videos onto other platforms, there's the whole copyright issue thing going on. I don't want to fall into that deep void of is it legal, is it not legal to use this? Because there's so many weird laws about it. I figured the best thing to do in order not to get sued is just not really use the clips. Now, some of you are going to be saying, oh, but what about fair act? Well, that's very complicated in itself. It's not as straightforward as, oh, you can use a 20-second clip, or, you know, as long as you're talking about it in a context, it doesn't work that way. You're not lawyers, so trust me, there's a lot to it, more than what you think. Like pages and pages of documents, and, you know, years and years of people thinking, oh, you can do this and get away with it, and then all of a sudden they're being sued because there's this one little problem here. So I don't want to fall into that whole thing. In future, if I have time, what I will do is contact the production company and see if I can get their permission to use it. Then I'll use the clips. I feel more safeguarded back then. So, you know, all these three things together, this year I'm not using many clips, and the point is that I'm talking about these movies hoping that you're going to go see them, so you can go watch it for yourself. You should get a fair idea of what the movie's about, and if you're going to like it or not like it by the end of the reviews. Okay, that being said, we just talked about how I'm not going to really do as many classic horror movies this year, but I'm going to kind of break the rule here. Now, this movie within itself is not a classic, but it is part of a classic franchise. And of course, I'm talking about Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. And what an odd duck movie this was. Is Halloween with what? No Jason? Sorry, I got the movie wrong. Now, I know I just talked about not talking about classic horror movies too much this year. I'm going to bend the rules a little bit, but not really. Now, this is a strange one because the movie itself isn't a classic, but is part of a classic franchise. Of course, I'm talking about Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Yeah, you know, it's part of John Carpenter's Halloween series, Michael Myers. You know, great series of movies. In fact, the first two movies I watch every year. Two of my favorite horror movies ever made. I mean, they are generally scary movies. I still get creeped out watching both of them. And then you have the third movie. What an odd duck this one is. I mean, it's a Halloween movie with no Michael Myers. What the hell? So, let's have a little bit more look at this movie and why it's so strange. I feel not many people talk about this movie because I feel like a lot of people haven't actually seen this movie. And those who have to be really kind of horror freaks like me, really, to watch this as part of the series. Now, I'm going to preface this. There are far worse Halloween movies out there. The most recent, the last 3 made, I mean, those were basically goat-aborted fetuses of movies. Quite possibly the worst horror movies I have ever seen. I just wish that was put into a vacuum of time and thrown into the sun, and then Superman came and blew up the sun, and then some big space monster came and ate it and shat it out some other place into, I don't know, a black hole. God, I hate those movies. I mean, they were scary, as in scary how bad they were. So, we're talking about Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. The one Halloween with no Michael Myers. I'm going to talk about the movie first, what's the plot, and then we get into why is it a good movie, is it a bad movie, the pros and cons, and the weirdness of it all. So, the movie starts off with this guy running down the street. He finally manages to make his way to the hospital, and he's screaming like, they're going to kill us, we're all going to die. And the doctor, who's going to be the hero, played by the wonderful Tom Atkins, who I absolutely adore, I think he's a great actor, done many good stuff, comes in and, treats him. And shortly after that, this guy in a suit comes and kills that stranger. I mean, literally puts the thumb in the eye all the way into the brain and rips out the nose. It's kind of disgusting, but kind of well done. So after that, the daughter of the man who just died comes and meets the doctor and asks for information. Now, she's been doing some sleuthing herself and found like 1 and 1 is not making 2. There's been a problem here. She thinks her dad's being killed. The doctor kind of agreed because the person who kills her father shortly after just walks and sits in a car, sets himself on gasoline, and blows up the car with himself inside. So together they go into this small town that's pretty much run by a company, the Silver Shamrock company that makes these Halloween masks. I guess that could be the connection to the Halloween series. But the whole town is pretty much ran by this company. It's a company town. And they have weird things like the company has a curfew that all the town has to follow. It's being monitored 24/7 by video cameras. And basically all the money is being brought in from this company that makes all the masks, the Silver Shamrock Company. So what happens is the two, they have to detect and find out what happened and why did the father die. In the end, they find that, the Silver Shamrock Company is up to no good, and they have a big master plan to kill a lot of people, namely any children wearing their mask. That's kind of a messed up plan if you think about it. What's the victims? Is it like a teenager? No. Is it some adult? No. Their victims are going to be all kids, because who's wearing all those Halloween masks? All little kids. So they want to basically kill all the kids wearing these masks. And, it makes it clear that, like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of masks have been sold, maybe even millions. So basically trying to kill every kid in the States. I'm not going to give too much away, but, then we have go into a normal affair where, they battle, they find out the plan, blah, 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 blah. And that's pretty much the movie. Kind of a nefarious plot. Like I said, kind of deeply disturbing. You're trying to kill all these kids, and especially the way they're going to do it. So let's actually talk about the movie, the different parts of the movie. And for me, this is the best part, and I think this is what you want to hear more than just the story, because you can read the little blurb on what the story's about anywhere. I want to give you my opinion. So you can either listen to it, or you can turn me off. Either way, it's cool. So let's address the elephant in the room here, or the mass killer in the room here. Why no Michael Myers? I mean, after the first 2 movies, he was so successful, why not bring him back for the 3rd one? Well, you see, the creators of the original 3, and I'm including Season of the Witch here, 1, 2, and 3 is John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. And the plan all along was to kind of make maybe 1 or 2 separate movies, but each Halloween movie having its own special theme, its own special killer. Basically, each movie kind of being an anthology, being a movie unto itself. They did 1 and 2 because they wanted to complete the story of Michael Myers. Now, at the end of Halloween 2, supposedly he's dead, and they just wanted to close down that chapter. And they had these plans to make a whole bunch of Halloween movies, but all of them would be a little bit different. And, well, we all know how that worked out. Immediately after the third movie came out and they saw the box office sales, it's like, nope, we are bringing Michael Myers back. Michael Myers is what sells the movie. For me, from a technical standpoint and just an enjoyment standpoint, yeah, Michael Myers does help sell the movie, but I think John Carpenter's vision and directing and musical scores also did that as well. A funny thing is though, even though the sales for the movie did really, really bad, the novelization of the movie sold really, really well, selling millions of copies. So I'm not sure why that is. Why did the book sell so well, but the movie sucked? I never know. And here's the key problem. I think because they made Michael Myers into such an iconic character, such an iconic killer within 2 movies, they kind of brought it upon themselves. They did so well making those first 2 movies that they ruined any chance they could make by changing it. I guess they thought maybe 2 movies weren't enough and they could do this and get away with it, but it wasn't. It's not like Zelda, like the Zelda game, where the first Zelda game was overhead, and then they tried changing it into the second. They tried changing it into more of a platformer for the second game. There'd only been one Zelda at the time, and they said, okay, we can get away with this. As we found out with Zelda as well, they had the same problem. So many people loved that first game, and the style was done, that they never went back to try and make a game like the second one. And that's what happened with the Halloween series as well. Basically, let's face it, that mask, the killer, he's an idol for horror movies. So let's move on from there. Because recently, I've been seeing a lot of people talking back about this movie, saying, oh, how good it was, how great it really is, how really misunderstood it is. And I want to know, why are these people now saying the movie's so good? Because the critics back then said it was really, really horrible. It wasn't just the audience, also the critics were saying this. And imagine, looking at the age of a lot of these reviewers, probably when they watched it, they were probably saying the same thing. So why have they gone back and changed their mind? Now, part of it could be a nostalgic thing. It's like, oh, well, I lived in this time period, it was a really good movie, that's how they made movies. That could definitely be part of it. Some of it could be, but I don't agree to this, is that it could be the Godfather 3 effect. Now, for those who don't know what the Godfather 3 effect is, and I'm not sure if this is a coin term or something I just made up, but I like using this term. Godfather 3, a lot of people said the movie was horrible, but because they're comparing it to the first 2, which was so well done that it wouldn't hold up. Now, the Godfather 3 effect would be like if we got the Godfather 3 movie and we called it something else, not Godfather, I think critically it would be acclaimed and a lot of people would really like it, but because it's being pitted against the original 2 classic movies, it didn't stand a chance in hell. So that could be what's going on with this movie, but I don't think so, because I went back and watched this movie and it still sucked. I've tried watching this movie many times, and many times I've fallen asleep halfway through. And that's my big problem with this movie. It's slow. Now, I don't mind a slow horror movie. I really enjoy the slow build-up horror movies. They're great. But they have atmosphere. They have this sinisterness building up. Constantly, slowly, but always constantly building. And this movie doesn't have that. It just feels flat. It feels blur. I think that would be the best word for this movie. Blur. It doesn't feel much of anything. It tries building suspense, but it really doesn't do it, because it kind of goes up and down, up and down. It's not a constant slow up, or it's not, erratic going up and down like a jump scaring movie. No, this movie just kind of planes out. It's just very blur. That's all I can say about it. I mean, Tom Atkins is great in it because he's good in pretty much whatever he does. But apart from that, there's really not much to it. Now, there's a couple of cool things that happen. 3 of the original cast from the first 2 movies do make a cameo in this movie. That's kind of cool to see them. And I do tell a lie. Technically, Michael Myers is in this movie, but he's on the TV set. Because when they're going to the, I think it's the gas station, the TV in the background, and you get to see Michael Myers on the TV because they're doing like a promotion for this Halloween, watch Halloween. So it's kind of a nod to John Carpenter's original. And I think that's a big problem here. John Carpenter, I don't think, had as much hands-on in this movie as he did on the first 2. And I think if he did, we might have saw a better movie. I could be wrong, but, look at John Carpenter's lists and see all his achievements. It's hard to argue that he wouldn't have made the movie better if he was director and more hands-on. Speaking of TV, I forgot to mention one of the parts is the kids who wear the masks, they have to watch a special promotion on TV for it to work. The TV is kind of like a catalyst, I guess. Now, how do these masks kill the kids? Now, this is where the story gets really stupid, actually. I hope I'm not giving away too much. So, guess what? The bad guy, he has stolen a rock from Stonehenge, and not a small one, like a full-size one. So I'm not sure how he managed to steal that, but he did. And he's some kind of evil druid who can get the power or magic from these stones, and they're putting little chips of the stones from this magical, Satan-filled stone, and putting it into the masks, and when they broadcast it, this beam of light thing goes into the head. Yeah, okay. And if you think that's not weird enough, the henchmen are all robots as well. So we have robot magic monsters, stone pillars, modern TV. I don't know. The plot doesn't know itself. It's just, they decide, hey, what do we think could be good? Let's put it in the blender. Okay, this is the outcome. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. I can understand how some people might like this movie. I just say watch the original 2. Hell, I'd say even watch 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 after this. Even 9. Just don't watch the most recent ones, really. One funny thing about this movie I actually kind of like, but it's also kind of annoying, is the jingle that goes on like, 10 more days to Halloween, 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 10 more days to Halloween, watch the special. And then, each day is getting closer to Halloween. It's like, then it's like, 4 more days to Halloween. And that's kind of cool because it's kind of like a countdown. It lets you know where you are in the movie and how much longer you have until it's Halloween. But the jingle really gets in your head. Now, if you notice, the it's based off the tune of, the London Bridge nursery rhyme that kids sing. Now, there's a reason why they chose that. And here's the reason. It's royalty free. So they could actually use this tune and not have to pay any money to use it. I would have thought by now the Halloween series would have had enough money for that, but I guess, saving money is saving money, right? But it is kind of a fun song, and it is kind of interesting to hear it, and you're following along like, okay, now it's getting closer and closer. I guess before when I said there's no suspense, that's the closest thing you have to a slow, steady suspense going on in this movie. The music's okay. Of course, it's a John Carpenter movie. He overlooks a lot of the music, so it's bound to fit the movie well, which it does. It doesn't have the classic Halloween theme, that song, but it still fits well for this movie. There's a couple really weird things that happens, like when the kids die, something really weird happens. Like the heads kind of, melt, and then snakes and insects and spiders and things like that start crawling out the head. What the hell? Are children's heads full of snakes and spiders and insects? Is that what's going on? Are you trying to say inside all of us are like little creepy crawlies going on? Because there's no other explanation for it. I understand that, you got this electricity thing coming out and melting the brain, But how does that feed these animals into the body? It makes no sense. All the director wanted was to have something gross looking, and it just makes no sense. You could have done this so many other ways, but why have these damn little snakes and things coming out of the head? Please tell me, please tell me, director, if you're watching this by any miracle of a chance, please tell me what's going on through your head, because that is utter shit. I mean, the rest of the movie, I can totally get away with. I mean, for the fact that Tom Atkins, who's obviously like in his 40s, and then there's this girl who's like 18 get together. They get together like after knowing each other for one night. Is okay, stupid, but I can still at least understand it. But this, I don't understand. I don't understand this. Why would you do that? It's just, I don't understand it. Please tell me. It makes no freaking sense. Are you trying to say that children are little creepy insects? I don't know. Is there some kind of weird analogy that I'm missing here? Because you don't explain it in the movie. So please, if you're watching this by any miracle, please email me and let me know. Or, I'll do an interview. Just please explain yourself. Anyway, it's almost Halloween, so I better get my mask on and get ready. Today I'm going to wear this one.